Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the next 2's commentary compilation. I'm gonna go over a couple of games, trying to highlight games against Windwalkers in particular. I feel like a lot of people are really struggling against them. I've got this Disc Priest Feral game. I think I've got some Mage games in there, and then even a Demon Hunter game. Um, Essentially, all these videos are just collated from the last day. Just got back from vacation last night, so still pretty rusty. Had some issues with my mouse as well that was broken. So, I kind of want to highlight where I've made considerable mistakes as well, and kind of talk about what I could have done to not do those. Uh, on a side note, I'll be releasing this video today, so if you're around, you want to watch the games in live, like real time, head to my Twitch channel, which I've linked below, twitch.tv warredxyz. Say hello, ask any questions you have. Also, feel free to send any VODs, DM them. Like, I think the easiest way is upload them on YouTube and then DM them to me. Um, but we'll get into the first game here. So we're up against Feral Druid, Disc Priest, right? And I've opted to run like Banner and Commanding Shout. I'm just playing with like this is like 2k MMR. I'm just trying to warm up. Playing with somebody from LFG, don't really know them at all, but it's all good. My idea here is I want to play pretty aggressive onto the Feral. I tend to find it's easier to just go DPS when I have a healer I don't know can live stuff yet. So I see the Druid out here. I think I got the sound on there as well. See the Druid out here, and I start on him. He's got Thorns. I probably should have just swapped off here. I Trinket and kick the Convoke and throw the Spear down. So I'm doing pretty big damage onto him. The Bop, I get bopped. Probably a little unnecessary because I Trinketed anyway. I leap here and I get this double fear, which I think is really good to do when Ferals try and kite back to their healer. Um, you can really use that fear offensively there, and you'll have it up for the next convoke if you what's it called, use your kick and stun or something. So here I'm just pumping damage into him. I throw the banner down. So if you watch that, we'll go back a couple seconds. Um, what I notice, so let me go back 2 more seconds, right? Is I see the priest is here, right, on the left hand side of my screen. He's got Rapture up, and my paladin's trying to cast this penance, right? But this distance is a lot shorter than it looks, and Fear has about an 8 yard radius. So the banner I dropped, when I stun the feral, he can't kill the banner as well. So it lets me be offensive while also peeling the team. So if you see that Fear is halved because of the banner, and banner is really, really high value against priests because they can't spam Fear, right? So they only get one every, I think, minute, and if they talent into it, 30 seconds. So it's really high value here, especially if it stays up for any longer. The mind games goes out, and I wasn't paying attention, and I don't, what's it called, reflect it, which is really bad. I should be paying attention there because mind games, I think, usually comes up around then. So we're just pumping dam here. I charge the druid, keeping the pressure up, and then I throw the intervene out. I throw the commanding shout, sorry, the colossal smash onto the druid, and we're getting good pressure here, but I'm also taking a lot of damage. I get the thorns on me, so like there was this big stack where I took thorns damage and with the spike, and I missed the spear because I kind of expected him to stay offensive. Probably shouldn't have stayed like that. I do something really silly here, or not yet, but I do something very silly soon. Um, so I'm just pumping away at the priest now because the druid's kiting me, right? Which is the play. That's always what you should try and do. Um, get a proc, and this time I reflect the mind games, which is really good. It means that their go here doesn't do as much as it could have. If that mind games hit, I would have been on about 10k HP with mind games, so we were really, really scared at that point. I don't have my new defensives yet. Um, this is where I do something stupid. I probably should have just stopped kiting, like just hit the priest, but instead I'm like just chasing him like an idiot. And now I can't even hit the priest, and I can't hit the druid. And then they get their go out. He's got thorns, so I leap away to the priest and try and hit the priest for a bit. And I fear the druid off me. The paladin reps, we're not on comms or anything, so just a bit of miscommunication there. I throw the spear down here, and what I'm trying to do when that druid is coming up is I'm trying to get a heroic throw on him or taunt. He gets the re fast enough. I miss the kick here on the cyclone, but I don't think he goes for another one. and he mind games the priest, which is pretty low value. Okay, we get the rep here, so I get stunned, but I'm already in D stance. I was kind of sitting in D stance waiting for this stun to happen. I know he has Convoke soon. But this time I don't chase the Druid, right? And the Druid's got PI and is not connecting on me, so it's pretty good value. When the Druid comes in, I stun the Druid. So he gets 0 value out of this PI. When my Paladin gets feared, I instantly go D-stance, and because of that, I D-stance the stun, right? And because it was so badly DR'd, I was also able to just kick the Convoke instantly without really having to commit much. Now we're in the really good spot, and if you see this position here, if there was a position that is best for warrior, right, absolutely S tier for warrior, it's this one, right? Um, I've got like both targets on me, but my Hpal is in range on the left, right? I'm able to cleave both, and when my sweeping strikes comes back, I can do huge damage on both too. So I'm just trying to stay on top of him. I'm just swapping pretty much whoever I can hit easily. Thorns comes out. I stun it, but I throw the spear down defensively because I'm taking too much damage. And because of that spear, he wasn't able to connect. He uses a whole bunch of mobility. And now, I'm not too scared. If I'm kind of in a sketchy stitch here, and I throw the leap out to try and kite a little bit, but I do get the sack on me, and it's an ultimate sack, so completely fine. If you see the priest mana now, it's really, really low. He's not doing too well. In a few seconds, we'll just win by mana, but I kind of just want to win. So I fear the druid here, and I stun the priest. The reason I fear the druid is I don't want him to be peeling on my goes. Again, I missed the heroic throw there, but I hit the blade storm. When a druid, if you're the target, when a druid goes into stealth, he gets to rake you, right? Which is, I think, like a 3 or 4 second stun. If you blade storm as his sort of like stealth thing, like a second later, you'll often get the druid out, right? You get the druid out and he can't stun you. So it's really, really high value if you can get that. I put the druid back on, focus, and I reflect this first clone. I know I'm going to get cloned again, so I throw the banner down for this clone. So it's only a half clone. There's still a lot of pressure here. What I do here is they're going to go really offensive. I intervene first, and then I leap up to kite. Now the druid is lossing his priest. He's in a really weird position. So I get stun on him in like under there, and I throw the spears so they can't connect. The rep goes out as well. And we're just pumping this guy. He throws fawns out, but it's a bit too late. We kill the pod quite quickly here. So that's that first game against Disc Priest Feral. The main idea is just swapping consistently, trying to get high value out of your banners, reflect, stun, and then just I think the biggest mistake I did here was hitting the thorns too much and not really hitting the priest more than I should. If I just hit the priest a little bit more, I would have baited the thorns onto the priest and I could have gone the feral anyway. Another thing is you kind of want to have your trinket ready for Convoke. I think Convoke's a 2-minute cooldown and your trinket is about 2 minutes as well. I'm a gnome, so I don't have the human trinket anymore. So typically what I'll try and do is hold my trinket all game until he convokes, and then when the second he stuns me, I trinket kick. Unless we're about to win the game anyway, but still it's a good habit to hold your trinket so you can trinket kick, trinket fear, trinket stun, do anything to stop that convoke. Doesn't matter what button you press. You can if it's a feral, I'm pretty sure you can just parry it as well if it's on you. So that's the first one. We're gonna hop into the next game. Okay, next game we're versing Arms Warrior Hpal as Arms Warrior Hpal, the mirror, right? Here I ran Disarm and Master and Commander. You probably could swap out Master and Commander with Overwatch if you know your pally well. I just didn't know how good this guy is at living against the warrior. My main idea here is I want to get cleave damage out. I want to stop his goes. And I might switch Warbanner out. No, I don't. And essentially disrupt as much as possible. So Paladin comes out here. I'm outgearing them a lot, so that's going to help me big time. I do the Piercing Howl here, which I always try and do, because usually you don't have Rage if you don't charge. And then I get the Hamstring out. So here I'm just kind of trading buttons here with this guy. I notice I get Colossal Smashed. I disarm him, and then I charge away. Because he's disarmed, this stun on me isn't a big deal, so my Paladin can quickly dispel that without any issue. So here I want to get offensive on the Paladin, so I stack up my overpowers, I get a crit, and then I throw the stun. He gets a stun, sorry, and I get the spear. And for some reason, the spear didn't like is tethering him, but it didn't actually land. So I immediately swap onto the warrior and I intervene my paladin because he just got kicked, right? I'm hitting ignore pain throughout this whole thing. I don't really want to go into D stance, and I hit blade storm here, right? So I can't really get peeled at all. The warrior and the paladin overuse way too much, right? He used bop on the warrior parried, the paladin bubbled, and we have both trinkets. I still have my trinket, right? So I'm sitting this stun because I'm not really in any trouble. My paladin's not CC'd, and I get this strange bop, which I don't know if I agree with, but it is what it is. Um, just pumping this paladin right now. He's doing pretty well to just live. He's using his instance. We get his wall here, right? So I don't really want to commit too much into it, and I try and stun on his divine light. The warrior comes over to peel me, and just as I was kind of getting there, I get disarmed, and I trinket the disarm, which probably was unnecessary, right? I think the trinket disarm was bad, mainly because he had a divine favor that I already stunned, right? Which is why I got him low in the first place. So trinketing the disarm, I'm not going to kill him right now. He's got wings up. He's got what's it called? Divine favor up, and he had probably water glory, holy lights, holy shock stuff, right? So we're still pumping away at him. Here is where I think this is a really good play. I notice, and this is something with like lower MMR Hpals who don't have Arena 123, and this is why you probably should get Arena 123 macros. Um, he's targeting me. I don't see Hodge on Omni CD at all, so I know he has Hodge, and I know that he probably wants to use it on me because I'm line of sight of my healer right now. So I throw up, I think, a Reflect very soon, right? He still doesn't have it. I'm still kind of pumping away at him, and I throw the Reflect up here, and unfortunately, as I'm like just going line of sight, he throws the Hodge into himself, which gives me a whole bunch of pressure here. I throw the spear off that and a sharpen, and we get the bop from that. I was considering shattering that, but didn't really need to. And what you see I'm doing here, right, and this is something that I think if you can, you should try and do, is I'm grabbing the little Pelagos circles that give you mastery, right? I want to try and go over them because it keeps my damage higher, and I'm getting a little bit more extra mastery every single time I do that. Well, it increases the size of the buff. So I intervene my paladin here, and I get the Stormbolt, which is nice. He's blade storming, so I just ignore pain. Doesn't really do too much to me. Um, we're just pumping away at him. He throws the disarm on me. I disarm him, which was kind of bad. He didn't really have a go there. I think I just, got annoyed that I was disarmed, so I disarmed him. He drops a fear here, and it was kind of bad to fear like that if he didn't swap me. Like what that other warrior should have done is when he got the fear, he should have swapped to me because then the full fear would have sat. Maybe I would have gone to like 60, 70% health, and then they could swap back to the Hpal and then just cleaved us both. So the rep goes out. We get the rep here. We're sort of just slamming away, getting good damage here. We get the parry again. I swap here and I hit the Blade Storm, mainly just so I can't get peeled at all on the swap. This time I throw the Reflect up, but I don't think he's that silly. I miss the spear. This is one thing you should try and avoid. Don't do what I just did, like where like I'm just throwing like the YOLO spear, because a lot of the times, like if you have any MS or any delay, or you might just be like mechanically a bit slower, you will miss that spear like maybe not 100% of the time. I'm gonna say you're gonna miss it like 30% of the time, and that 30% means that your go's kind of effed over. Like if I just held my spear right now, I didn't throw it like that, I would have had spear for this Hodge go and probably killed both of them. But it's not a big deal. I get the sweeping strikes out, and I get a double sharpen on both of them too, which is really nice. Um, then we're just pumping away. We get the intervene from the warrior. The warrior disarms me here, so I just throw a slow on him, and I'm just kind of kiting so I don't just eat sweeping strikes damage for no reason. The paladin's drinking, and what I do here is I make the decision, well, the paladin's at 55%, mine's at more. The warrior doesn't have parry, he doesn't have disarm. He doesn't really have any way to peel me, right? So if I just DPS this guy, the paladin will have to stop drinking, or they'll just lose the game. So Always consideration when you see somebody drinking, you can either leap to stop them, which is probably good a lot of the times in threes. But if I leaped there, I would have had to go the paladin, which seemed to be a lot healthier and in a better condition than the warrior is. I further did some on the warrior here, um, mainly just to stop this consistent damage, and we're sort of just pumping away. I get a big sharpen on him, so these holy lights aren't doing much for him. Okay, so now I get the stun here. Sorry for the crying in the background. It's one of my neighbors. And we're just pumping away. The rep comes out. Um, these sections of the game kind of feel a bit boring, but we are getting cooldowns from them. He just used commanding shout, and now I can pump damage here. Uh, we're kind of scared here because he does have the disarm, but I do have trinket now, right? Because I didn't waste my trinket. So he disarms me, I instantly trinket it and kill him, right? So that's sort of how you should try and play against mirrors. Play super adaptive, swap a lot, and just do it based on what cooldowns are up. And you should force enough pressure that you're never really under pressure, and they're kind of always feeling a bit sketch, and you can kill either of these targets. Holy Paladin's good because if you do enough pressure, he'll swap, but I tend to find just hitting warriors sometimes easier. I get 100% uptime, and I can really like play with him a lot more. Especially if your paladin's running rep, you can intervene the paladin so he can get the reps 100% of the time on the Hpal. So that's the mirror game. One that I've seen a lot of people ask about, Resto Druid Affi lock, and to be honest, I'm not very good at it either. Right? This is particularly bad. It's pretty late for me. Just got off the flight. This was from yesterday. Was pretty tired and just plain bad generally. But it gives you the basic ideas of probably what you should try and do, and I can point out what would have been better. So I'm playing with a HPAL friend of mine. He just re-rolled HPAL, so he's still learning it. Is not very geared either. I do this leap stun here, right? If they don't instantly gateway, I tend to find the leap stun actually gets a lot of value because you'll stop this initial gateway, which means you can get your spear. So the big thing with warlocks, right, and this is something that I really want to focus on, is that if you spear and then next to their gateway, they can gateway your spear. It breaks the spear, right? It doesn't tether them. But if it's a circle, if it's their Night Fae ability, if it's anything else, the spear will work and it'll bring them back in. Which means that the gateway is probably the most important thing at the start of the game that dictates how much pressure you have. He throws the circle down, but I do get the spear, so he's not able to run. And I do something really stupid here because I think he's walling to get the gateway out. So I try and sort of make this decision to fear him, right? So I throw the fear on him, and I kind of realized, oh, okay, he's not gatewaying. And by the time that wall runs out, I'm hitting it again. I break the fear. But what you do see is he used Dark Soul, which is a really big deal. So even though my fear was crap, absolute garbage, it was able to stop the wall Dark Soul section where he would have got out a huge amount of damage and spam Malefic Rupture, right? So here he gets thorns on himself, and this is probably the hardest thing here is the thorns on the Affi lock. I notice he has thorns, so I swap off onto the druid, and the druid's in this awkward position, right? I get the slow on me, which is really really annoying, but I do have the freedom, which is one thing why H-Pals are really good against this comp. I tried to keep this guy in combat, but he was able to get, I think, the Shadow Melt here, and I have the Ursul's Vortex on me, so I run out once to break it, and then I get dispelled. Sorry, the roots dispel here. So I wasted my what's it called? My stun there. Sorry, my gnome ability racial. So I kick the entangling roots, which is nice. I get sacked, which is also pretty good. So I'm staying pretty offensive on this guy, even though he has thorns. I leap onto him and then just pressuring as much as I can. I throw down the spear there. He's sort of at 50%, so he has to be kind of scared here. Um, Sort of taking a lot of damage at the same time. And my paladin goes into a fear, so I'm actually in a lot of trouble here. But he doesn't really end up connecting too much. So this is the position that I think a lot of warriors or melee DPS in general know about. I've got this corruption slow on me, the druid's line of sight of me, my paladin's line of sight of me, the warlock's ages away, and I'm still rotting, right? So here's where I sort of make the decision. Okay, cool. He gets the Hodge. I was about to just line and chill, try and force him back in. But then I go on to this Warlock, right? I charge, which starts the first chain, right? And I'm just trying to like reflect some damage. He fakes a reflect. It's not a huge deal because it's not running coil, right? And I'm so slow here. So I'm sort of thinking, oh my god, why did I do this? I made the stupidest mistake. But this guy pokes out to renew his corruption slow, and I get a stun on him, right? The first stun. And then I'm pumping away at him. I get feared, but he used his gate, and I have spear, which is a really big thing to think of. So here I'm walking in, and what I do is I blade storm the corruption slow because I'm just around the corner, and I have a sharpen ready for him. So I sharpen him. I'm still committing to this, so I just wall, right? And then he's in execute range. I just wall there, execute him, and this guy wasn't able to respond fast enough because at the same time, if a warlock's kiting you, he's probably kiting his healer as well, unless the healer's really good and staying on top of him. So what I was able to do is essentially just blow this guy up by, I think it was pretty much the Blade Storm. Blade Storming the corruption slow meant I kept up to him, and he didn't really have any easy mobility to get away from me. If the game went any longer, I probably would have used Spear. I could have feared this Druid as well, which would have forced his adaptation, and then we could have hodged and killed the Druid. So that's one way. It was still a very messy game, but definitely a game where you can sort of see why it's really important to hold your movement abilities and then think about what you're doing with your Spear as well. Next game. This one is against Marksman Hpal. This is another one people I have mixed feelings about. A lot of the times with Hpal marksman, you should just be able to DPS them as Hpal warrior, and kind of win that way. But they do still have strong goes, especially if they're good, well geared, and the Hpal is helping out with damage. My paladin is in very low gear, 27k, but I have a lot of gear, so 35k. And I think, do I battle shout here? I must have forgotten to battle shout, which is really really awkward. Hopefully I do it. Okay, yeah, I do it. In terms of my PvP talents, I'm running Overwatch, right? Um, I'm running, I'm not running Banner, right? And I'm checking what he's running as well. He's running Rep. So Overwatch, Disarm, right? And I think just Sharpen. Pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go over to the H-Power just to start the game. I don't really want to wait around. And this guy opens on me, right? So first thing I do, I stun him and I throw the spear down. What hunters can do is they can feign death your spear, which is something I have to really get better at. I probably could have just held and forced the feign death and then speared. But because he feign deaths the spear, the spear doesn't like lock him down, but he doesn't actually try and run away. So this hunter has a lot of cooldowns up, right? If you see, he's got PvP trinket, he's got True Shot Aura, he's got the Orc Racial, and he's hitting fast aim shots. So I'm Blade Storming and I'm hitting Ignore Pains. I'm not even in D-stance yet because I do get the sack on me. And I'm just pumping away at these guys. He reps into the sack, not really a big deal. And there we go. I'm pretty low, but I'm still not too scared because my guy is not in CC. He gets scattered here. And then what you see here is this intervene, right? I intervene the trap because I see the trap in the air and I see it in the nameplate cooldowns, and I'm going to dissect this a bit more on the next one so you can do the same thing. When I intervene the trap, a lot of their pressure's gone, I get topped, I'm slowing them, and I get the fear onto the H-Pal there. I get a stun here, right? And he's starting to kite me, but I'm a gnome, so it's really hard to kite gnomes, especially with H-Pal. I can break the root instantly, and I also have the freedom. Staying on top of him here, he's going to have a trap that's actually going to land here because I don't have, like, intervenes on cooldown, right? So what I do is I see this, I'm at 11k HP, he throws his Night Thave thing down, which I think does more damage to me, gives him extra stuff. I throw Ignore Pain, I go D-stance, and I just line, right? And if you see this position of lining, it's actually pretty good. My Hpal was in the middle because the CC is just stuck there. So I'm lining the hunter, right? Because it's Night Fae. If he was Kyrian, he could shoot me, but he's not. And I'm in range, like I'm in line of sight of my healer. So after that, after I get topped, I jump back out. And here I throw the spear, and I want to play offensive here. I stun the rapid fire, right? Which is probably something you should do. Like, You should probably try and hold your stun for aim shots and rapid fires. I kind of do them randomly in 2's, but in 3's, if you want to stop a lot of their damage, you can, stun at the last second of the aim shot or stun really early in the rapid fire, which kind of messes up their rotation a bit and overall damage. So here, in this one, I disarm the aim shot, and I think in a sec, I disarm him now. I actually take the aim shot, which is bad. And this is, can I slow this down at all? Playback speed. I think this is coming up here. Let's just watch. Okay, so my paladin's in a hodge, so I'm really thinking, cool, what am I gonna do? Because if this trap lands, I mean, I'm probably okay still because I've got trinket and I can just line, but I want to stay offensive. I don't want to have to like run around and line. So let me just quickly find how to play. I just had this a second ago. So I'm gonna play it at slower, right? Just half a second slower, and now the camera's messed up. But what you can see is the second I see on my nameplate cooldowns that he's used trap, I hit the intervene, right? And while it's in the air, I should intervene to my Hpal faster than that trap lands. But you have to do it really, really quickly, and the second you see it. And if people are like, "Oh, it's too hard, I can't do it," think about it like this: I'm playing in Australia, and this is US realms, right? Bleeding Hollow, Tichondrius. So I'm playing with like 161 to 200 ms. So if I can do it with this ms, you can do it if you're in the States. Way easier. Or EU if you play in EU. So I'm just gonna put this playback to normal here, normal speed. So here, this guy's in a lot of trouble. I'm just sort of pumping him still, but my paladin's kind of focusing still on getting that out. I stun him, but he turtles, so I just switch to the paladin to keep up pressure. And then the paladin has to use his divine favor on himself, which is nice. I swap here, and this is another one where I don't think I can actually stop this trap because of the cooldown. It was just coming up. He gets bopped, so I immediately just leap in line. Right. This is something you should get in the habit of doing. I see his pet. He didn't pull back his pet, so I just kill his pet quickly, which gives me a victory rush, which is nice. And I throw the spear down here. And just keep pumping away. He's got a sack, but it's not a big deal for me. I stun that aim shot, and I'm just sticking on top of him the whole time. I throw the disarm on that aim shot, so I'm really taking absolutely zero damage. I'm sort of just waiting for the moment this sack dot drops. It doesn't drop fast enough, and he does reposition, so I can't fear both. But I see here he's using all his cooldowns, so I just throw the wall out because we're about to win the game. The only thing I can do is essentially throw and not use cooldowns here, and we win the game off that rep. So you can sort of see that Hunter Holy Paladin can be made really easily, especially with nameplate cooldowns, which is, I don't know what order these videos will come out in, but I should talk about that more too, and you can kind of play off that. Okay, so this game we're going to talk about Windwalker Hpal. Definitely one of the hardest comps to play against as warrior, pretty much just because it's the strongest comp, and warriors are insane in 2's, but this comp is definitely giving warrior a run for its money in terms of dominance in 2's. I feel like Windwalkers are just the best 2's class. They do insane damage, have Immortal Strike, have good mobility, cooldowns, all this kind of stuff. So, you got to be scared and respect Windwalkers a lot more. I feel like they're better than they've ever been in a long time. So, I do outgear them though, somewhat. Definitely, I think my Hpal is the same HP as this guy. And what I do here, which is really bad, is I just throw the stun here so I can get early pressure, but I probably should have just held for the Fist of Fury. I'm spamming intervene so I can keep up with my Hpal. And I forgot to run banner here, which would have been really nice. If I had the banner, it would have been good. But my Hpal is doing something really well. He's kiting this Windwalker, right? I throw the fear, which gets trinketed, so we get the trinket out of the way, and he bops the karma as well. So he's got no karma. I don't even know, his port's right behind him, so he doesn't even have an easy way to get out of that. I throw the Blade Storm down here, just so I can't get disarmed if he's running it. He Fist of Fury here, and he gets bopped. So what I do is I ignore Pain Shatter, and then intervene, right? I could have shattered first, but I had a lot of rage, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't overcapping. And he's still chasing my paladin a huge amount. We get a massive amount of pressure as this guy lines, and we kill him. While this game can seem incredibly non-informative, the main ideas of how you should play against Windwalkers are here, right? Um, if your pally can kite them around line of sight, you can do massive damage to them, especially if their healer can't keep up. When he does kite back to the healer, if you can throw a fear and then rep or get another CC off that, you can pretty much force all their cooldowns. And here, the paladin was running weak sack, so his sack didn't save him when the Windwalker was low. The Windwalker chased too much because, yeah, my pally was actually taking a lot of damage too. But what you can see is you can do huge damage. Like, you can pretty much kill a Windwalker 100 to 0. You just have to avoid using your cooldowns into the Fist of Fury. So if you can stun the Fist of Fury, even if it doesn't like, even if you can't get the stun straight away on the Fist, which is kind of hard because GCDs, right? And the travel time is stun. You're essentially guaranteeing yourself a really good go because they can't immediately come out of that stun and Fists of Fury you, which is a big thing that Windwalkers will do. If you don't stun them, like if you stun them randomly, like I did at the start, he can immediately just look at me, even at 80, like if he was at 30%, right? He can just look at me, Fist of Fury, and his Paladin can top him, right? The only thing that'll hit for is Overpower, and it's very rare that Overpower will do like 9k damage in two of them. It would have to crit like crazy. So you can sort of see here that's how I like to play against Windwalkers. But it is really up to your healer to kind of win the game for you. Kite and live his goes with your spam intervenes and rally and all your peels too. Okay, last one for this video. It's again with Windwalker Holy Paladin. We're gonna hop into this vid. I'm not running Clay, by the way. I'm just kind of looking and reading about it at the start. I'm running Banner, Shout, and Sharpen. Right, what I tend to find works best against Windwalkers. And essentially, I just want to pump this Windwalker really, really hard. Don't really care about the Holy Pal too much. Right. So I think this is a short game too. And as you can see, like before, we just first Windwalkers non-stop, which is why I've put multiple videos in both of them about this. So the Windwalker's geared. He's got KSM mount. He's done 7 out of 10 mythic and he's like 36k HP. So it's a pretty equal match. I'm not just out gearing this guy. And I throw the banner down here and I throw the stun, right? So why I threw the stun there, and even though it's not fist, is because my Hpal is very undergeared, and this guy is very geared, and he's a Windwalker, right? So there's potential for him to die at any point in time, right? Like, so when he uses his Cavalier, I want to stun so this Windwalker can't keep up, and he has to use like all his rolls and dashes and all this stuff to catch up to my H-Pal. So here, I trinket the disarm instantly, right? And what I do is, when that disarm's trinketed, he's at 12k HP. He throws the Karma on me, right? The Karma gets, I think I don't even, it gets bopped really late, but I kind of already broke through it. So now he's got no Karma, he's got no disarm, right? Because I think he disarmed into the bop or something. He rolls over to my H power, which is really good because the rep's still there for 5 seconds. And the H power should have trinketed instantly their H power, and this Windwalker probably shouldn't have been rolling into the enemy team at 30% HP when I have a bop on me, right? So with that bop, he can't peel me, so I can't get stunned here. So then I just execute him. So you can sort of see if you play aggressive and you can get enough damage out, right? You can just flatline them. But you have to remember, I was doing 5.2k DPS that game, which is not normally how that game's going to go down. But, well, I said it was the last game, but maybe I'll show one more game of a loss. I want to show a loss against the Windwalker and sort of what I did badly. But that's sort of a way that you can sort of play against Windwalkers. Again, very aggressive. You can just bop the Karma and try and kill them in the opener. If this Pally used his buttons, we would not have won that easily. So you can sort of see, well, we won, but how much of it was just because they didn't, like, it's not necessarily that we did anything spectacular, it's more that they didn't do anything. Okay, so this game is one that I lost, right? I lost against his Windwalker Resto Druid. And I wanted to show a loss. I at least want to show at least one loss in all these 2's commentary videos, so you can sort of see, well, here's what I did wrong, and I can break down, where you could probably not make those same mistakes, right? Still a hard comp, Windwalker Resto, but it is easier than the Windwalker H-Power variant because you can just kill the Windwalker really, really quickly if the H-Power can't react in time, or your Paladin doesn't react in time. I get the slow here, and I'm just pumping away this guy. I get stunned, but I banned it, right? So if you can see that, like, because I noticed, like, okay, this guy's going to come in. I banner beforehand, which means the stun's only 2k. Oh, sorry, 2 seconds. And they don't get too much pressure because he's pressing all his, like, DPS, like his cooldown globals, his Kyrian ability, he's pressing his clones, he's pressing everything during that 2 seconds, which means that we're not stunned during that huge initial burst. Um, I get the vortex on me and I stun his fist. So everything here is going extremely well, right? I even throw the intervene onto the Hpal, so if he's staying next to me, he can't get kicked, right? So he can go for a rep or whatever he's doing. We're pumping away at him, and the best thing happens. He vortexes me, but he vortexes on the ROP, so like I get booped from the ROP, and then I get brought in. He's got thorns. He's on 10k HP, right? Which is so good. 3.7k HP. I'm thinking, cool, we're just going to win. A rep's literally being casted, and the Druid just trinketed, right? And then this happens, he's at 930. He gets the Karma out, right? The Druid's Convoking, which is just a heal in this instance. And the Karma doesn't get bopped, right? It doesn't get bopped. It's 8 seconds in. The whole Karma doesn't get bopped. It gets bubbled that time, and he bops me. So it's one of those things that if he instantly bopped that Karma, we would have just won, right? Straight up. So that's the first thing. Because he didn't, I've hit into Thorns for like 10 seconds, and I'm taking a lot of burst damage from him now. So I've had to use Bubble Bop instantly. And here, I reflect the Cyclone, right? And I'm just pumping away at him. It's still not a bad position to be in, but we don't have bubble anymore, and we lost one of our bops. I get disarmed here, and I stupidly trinket it. There's no point to really trinket it because I couldn't have even storm bolted this fist. It's on cooldown. He's got full hots on him, and it's kind of there go. So I probably should have just chilled and sat that disarm. So the tranquility comes out. I stun after the fists, and then kind of just pumping away. I fear this Cyclone, but I think he's running blind. Oh, no, I reflected the first Cyclone, so I messed my DRs up there. And I'm still getting a lot of pressure here. He goes to literally 2k HP, but he gets what's it called? The thing that makes their spells go really quick and heal them a lot. So the Druid heals him really quickly. He's got Thorns on him. I'm still pumping away because I have Ignore Pain. I'm not too scared about this because like I'm trying to get peeled. And this is something silly that happens. I get Entangling Roots. He doesn't have what do you call it? Dispel for it until the end. He still dispels. He uses Bop on himself, which sucks. And he fakes my Reflect there. It's quite easy to fake a Reflect once you get it once, just because, like, I don't know. If you fake it at the last 0.1 seconds, like, I have to do it at some point, right? I can't just sit them all the time. But I should have probably varied how much I sat and what I reflected, instead of just reflecting the first one every time. I'm spamming Intervene here. And now I'm incapped full. It's not feeling very good. I get cycloned here, but then I bladestorm it. So I'm not cycloned there, which is fine. Trying to get back to my Hpal, and here he gets thorns again, which really sucks. And he uses Rob. So as long as he uses Rob, it's not a big deal because I'm getting 2 things out of 1, but I did waste the banner there. Well, I mean, I didn't waste it. I kind of just predicted a double stun there. I'm going to get Cycloned here into this. My Hpal's line of sight of me, so I can't intervene him, right? He reps the Windwalker, which, I mean, doesn't really do anything. It just gets dispelled, and I'm getting spam Entangled Root, so I stun so I can stay on top of him during the Entangle. I throw the Spear down, and I reflect the Cyclone here. And we get his Convoke, right? So the good thing is we get the Convoke from him. But it's still dicey. The Hpal drops the stun on the Windwalker, which is good because he was fisting, but it does mean I can't really stun this guy for a while. Luckily, there's the DR lines up perfectly with the CD for Stormbolt, but it would have been good to stun the Resto Druid, so we could have had pressure here. I trinket the disarm again because I've got Colossal Smash and Sharpen. I don't think this is a bad trinket necessarily, especially since I needed to parry. Right, I wouldn't have been able to parry if I was disarmed. I get the double fear here, and he trinkets, which is good. And I throw the Stormbolt onto the Druid so he can't Cyclone off that stun. Right. And I'm just checking if I have Overwatch. I do, but I used Overwatch. Like, this is another thing, right? When you use when you're using intervene a lot to stop damage, which is what I tend to find you have to do against Windwalkers, you probably don't have Overwatch. Sorry, you don't have intervene up for Overwatch because just you're intervening damage, right? So it does get a bit awkward comparatively. I don't think it's a bad thing to run though. It's a weak sack, so we're taking a lot of damage. But I'm sitting in D stance. I should just get top tier, and a big heal comes out. I intervene back so we can sort of try and stabilize and get into a good position. This rep comes out, but he can form it, so it's fine. I blade storm here. I got good pressure here, but I get disarmed. Like if I stunned literally a millisecond beforehand, we might have just won straight off, but we don't. I get stunned here. I'm pretty low, but the druid sort of what's it called? He's playing offensive, so he's not focusing completely on the heals. We're doing semi-decent damage. I throw the banner down, which is really bad because he actually didn't have stun up, right? Like, shit banner. I don't know what I was bannering. I wasn't even bannering a clone or anything. Just wasted it straight up. So don't do that. He's coming in here, but he has thorns behind here, so it's really awkward. I stun, but he stuns the same time. So nobody, I think, can stop this druid if he hits the cyclone. I get incapped, right? And because I use Berserker Rage on like a 0.2 second like disorienting shout, I don't have what's it called? Berserker Rage for the incap. And as you can see, that means I get stuck in like 10 or 12 seconds of CC. The other thing is my Hpal's lining me completely, so I can't intervene him, right? So as you can see, I'm trying to waddle away, but I can't really get there in time. I get there, I get the intervene off, but we've already taken so much damage from him. I throw the spear down on the vortex, which is a nice thing to do, but he's got disarm ready for me. I haven't really been able to stick to him long enough to force all these cooldowns. I get the stun nicely as he rolls, so he's line of sight, and he has a sharpen on him. I trinket this, but I think essentially it's all over. I throw the fear onto his pets, and we get his trinket, but I don't have a stun to stop any extra damage coming out, so he's able to force a lot here. The Convoke comes out, and he's in touch range, so he just dies. You can sort of see all those mistakes I made throughout that game, but also the lack of coordination between me and my Hpal, which is what I think really lost us the game. I had Rally, actually, but it was kind of like I was stuck on the GCD and I didn't press it fast enough. So another mistake. So hopefully this game is really useful for you guys to really see what can go wrong and what the mistakes are against Windwalkers that even I make consistently. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, check out the stream, twitch.tv, warredxyz. Throw us a follow on it. If you want to watch the games in real time, ask any questions. I'll try and be streaming a lot more. Haven't been streaming that much the last couple of weeks, but just got back from vacation, so really looking forward to get deep into it again. All right, take it easy, guys. Peace.